You're listening to the AI Moment with me, Jonathan Wagstaffe.
And me, Danny Denhard.
And Dan, what are we going to talk about this time?
Today we've got another mailbag episode, and it's quite an interesting and more of a technical question, but I think it will help everyone. So the question is, why do AI models forget what it's been taught when there's been an upgrade cycle? So when AI models are upgraded, say from 3.5 to 4, or from 4 to 5, why does it often forget a lot of the context that you've provided and the lessons you've kind of taught it? Jonathan, do you want to take this one away, and then I'll dive in after?
Sure. So I think the first thing to look at is, why does this happen? And then maybe we talk about what you can do about it. So the why it happens is because, of course, every time there's a new base model, every time the system prompts change, all those things change whenever there's an upgrade, because it's a software upgrade. So in some ways, it's like every bit of software you ever had is that the new version requires new thinking. So the memory, the phrase that we use is memory, and having the AI remember what we've done, but it isn't really memory as we would know it. So the advice for everybody is, don't rely on the model remembering what you've told it, even when you've told it things and maybe in the past it's worked for you. Maybe a previous upgrade, it's remembered things through that upgrade. You can't rely on it remembering things going forward. So then the question is, Dan, what's good practice at that point? So do you want to start us off with good practice from your point of view to handle that?
Yeah, so I actually think what you said, if I could just double click on that just briefly.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I think actually what you said is obviously is true. I think there are a couple of ways to frame it in an additional sense. So catastrophic forgetting is the technical term, and it's because it's neural networks. And every time they update, they adjust the way it's weighted. So think of it as a scoring. So let's call old models old and new models new. What they do is they overweight the new one. So what they do is, it's almost like a cache. They say downweight the old and upweight the new. So I think often that's the way to think around it. I'm not expecting anyone to know neural networks, but it's a lot of the time it's how they weight it and how they override old to new. So think of it as you clearing out your cache on your browser. Often that's a similar way how I would layman's terms to explain it. And AI systems have different memory systems to humans. So there's no true memory system. So it often lacks memory or context retrieval and storage mechanisms. So very often it's not like us that remember something and then connect all the nuggets together. Often it can't do that. It doesn't do that. So very often the way to think around it is what is old is going to be updated and replaced and downweighted, and what is new is going to be upweighted. So I think that when we have an over-reliance on memory, a bit like we do for a human, we over-index on the new information and we'll downweight what was older, and we need to forget that. Very often you have to get to a level where you want to increase its knowledge again, and every model will improve it slightly. So anything that's really important, I would make a note and give it as context and sell it in the custom GPTs, etc. Often there are ways to try and tackle this, as in being really proactive in giving it instructions again and again, and then just understand what's the right level of memory that you want it to hold, and then whatever's vital information you give it to them. Some proactive ways to tackle it. I don't know if you agree or there's another way you would tackle it, Jonathan.
Yeah, I think one of the things, and this is good for security as well as everything else. I think one of the things you can do is, so let's say you work with ChatGPT and you're trying to teach it about, let's say, your business. Say you're a small business owner. So you've done some work and you've taught it all about your business, which means it can give you much better advice. What I would tend to do is, once you've got that put together, save that off as a PDF. So copy that out and save it off as a PDF. And then the next time you want to have a conversation with it about your business, you load the PDF back up. So you say, here we go. So that absolutely gets around the upgrade question, because if it's learned a lot of things about you and you've got it to remember a lot of things about you that are useful, might be a load of product data around a product. It might be a load of, like, say, business data on your business. Could be anything. But if you've got it to a point where it's understood a lot of nuance and background because of what you've fed in, if you can get it to feed all that back out. So as I say, you just save that all down into a PDF, and then you reload that PDF every time you start the process with, there's the PDF. Now and that way you decide what it's remembered, because it's what's in your PDF is what you feed it each time. So now number one, you're not relying on remembering things. Number two, you can turn off all the remember buttons and it's much more secure. So that one for me, that kind of having your own library of information that you want it to know is one way you get around this, and actually is advantageous for a lot of other reasons as well.
That's something that I'm guilty of not doing so much being a Gemini user, but being a Google product or an Alphabet product, I have an inkling it's got quite a lot of saved information about me. So it tends to be quite good in that. One thing I've noticed with Claude and when Claude's updated is it's actually quite good at understanding or remembering things that you've inputted a number of times to it. So it's actually got quite a good level of understanding of what's important to you versus what isn't. So I think Anthropic have thought about it slightly differently than maybe ChatGPT and some of the more of the Eastern AI tools that are quite popular, like Manus, etc.
Yeah, I find in ChatGPT, sometimes it remembers lots of stuff, sometimes it doesn't. I mean, sometimes I was doing an image creation the other day and I said, right, the image you just give me is perfect, except I'd like the person on the right to be smiling. And it gave me a completely different image back with the guy on the right smiling this time. So sometimes it's not remembering what you've done even 5 minutes ago, and sometimes it's remembering stuff. Sometimes it's pulling stuff in from last week, and it's, no, I don't want you to include that in this answer. I want you to focus on what I'm telling you now. So I don't know that there'll be rules, but I don't know what the rules are with ChatGPT. It seems to be slightly more random, maybe. I don't know. I may be maligning it.
I'm sure with the way that they're all being quite aggressive with the rollouts and updates, that they're going to be challenging the way that they're all built and that the way memory systems are working. And I know, having listened to a lot of AI podcasts, the way that they're thinking is trying to create neural networks and have it as if it works like human memory more than how AI and computer memory does. So I'm pretty sure and confident that this will be something that they work on iteratively. So when the next update comes, it might be slightly better. But again, because it's predictive and it's token based, very often it doesn't. And it can either rely because it's predicting based on what you've said, or it can under rely on what you said because it doesn't necessarily know what's important and what's not. So again, it's based on the context you provide. And I like your idea of saving knowledge out, and then when you want to go again, put that same input back in so it understands what to do and how to challenge it.
One of the ways to start with that sometimes, Dan, just to finish off, is given a subject, you just get it to ask you the question. So you start prompt is like, I want to talk about our new product here. I want you to just ask me questions about it until you got everything you need to know and you know all about it. And that might take 30 or 40 minutes of it asking you questions. Once you've got all that in there, then that's when you save off a PDF. And now that's the product description bit, which you can then load whenever you want to talk about that product with it, as an example.
Yeah, and as Jonathan said so many times, as it's natural language now, the voice section will be far easier for a lot of people. So if you want to give them a brain dump or talk it through, or you've kept it, saved it, and you want to re-upload every time, that's the perfect way of saving yourself time and getting the most out of your AI model.
And here's a little bonus for you, Dan. I did some work a couple of weeks ago with somebody, and they were looking at pricing a new product. So we did that piece. We described the product. We got it to ask us questions. We described the product, and then we asked the AI about a pricing strategy, and it came up with a pretty good pricing strategy. Before we saved all the stuff off, it went off and analyzed the market. It came back and said, you should be pricing this product at this place, which was quite an interesting thing to do. There we go.
Great. Thank you, Jonathan.
Good to see you, my friend.
We'll see you next time. Thanks for listening today, everyone. If you've got any questions, happily drop us an email at ai@dannydenhard.com. If you would like to subscribe to our newsletter, it goes out with every podcast. That's at aimoment.co.uk. And we appreciate you listening. Thanks again.